No one inside the paddock expected what Yamaha discovered in Valencia. A private test, a prototype engine, and one rider whose data sparked more questions than answers. For months, Yamaha kept its V4 project hidden behind sealed garage doors. Almost no leaks, no technical hints, no confirmation that the rumors were true. But then one unusual detail emerged from the test sessions, a single long run where the telemetry spiked in a way the engineers didn't anticipate. A spike that, according to insiders, changed the mood inside Yamaha entirely. Some mechanics whispered that Toprak Razgatlıoğlu had done something extraordinary with a bike still in its infancy. Others wondered whether this sudden progress was real or the start of a very dangerous illusion. What truly happened behind those doors? And did Yamaha finally find the rider capable of rewriting their future? Or is this the beginning of their biggest gamble in a decade? Whispers began weeks before Yamaha said a single official word. Inside the paddock, people noticed the unusual silence. No technical updates, no optimistic interviews, not even the typical hints from engineers who usually offer subtle clues about development progress. Yamaha wasn't talking at all. The silence became its own kind of message. After years of falling behind Ducati, Aprilia, and KTM, the factory known for precision and predictability suddenly looked unsure of its direction. Their beloved inline-4 philosophy, once the hallmark of smooth corner speed mastery, could no longer keep up with the explosive, torque-heavy V4 machines dominating MotoGP's modern era. Internally, Yamaha faced a crossroads. Should they abandon decades of identity? Should they take the enormous risk of starting from zero? And then came the wild cards. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu. He wasn't just another rider. He was chaos wrapped in control, someone capable of bending physics in ways that left engineers stunned. His braking ability alone had already earned a cult following. But MotoGP, on a prototype V4, that was a different world entirely. When Andrea Dovizioso, one of Yamaha's most respected development voices, finally spoke, it broke the silence with the force of a shockwave. And the paddock immediately understood. Something big was unfolding inside that garage. But the most surprising part wasn't his praise. It was the urgency behind his tone. During Yamaha's first closed-door V4 sessions in Aragon, only a handful of technicians had access. Those who attended expected a familiar story, a talented rider struggling to unlearn years of inline-4 habits, a period of confusion, hesitation, long nights of feedback meetings filled with the phrase, "I need more time." But that never happened. Instead, Toprak walked into a completely foreign machine. Different torque delivery, different engine braking, different behavior on the Michelin front, and understood its rhythm almost immediately. Within just a few sessions, he was already pushing braking zones deeper than Yamaha predicted for the early prototype. Engineers exchanged nervous glances. Some wondered whether the data was miscalibrated. It was. One technician later described the moment privately. Most riders spend the first day trying not to make mistakes. Toprak spent the first day trying to find the limit. The V4's engine braking behavior, notoriously tricky for newcomers, was absorbed almost instinctively. The way he used the Michelin front on the edge, dancing with grip, felt unnatural for someone with no MotoGP race experience. Rumors spread through the paddock. Yamaha's gamble might actually be working. But in truth, the surprising adaptation was only the beginning. The real shock came later, when the engineers looked deeper into the numbers. When Yamaha's engineers connected the telemetry after Aragon, something unusual surfaced. The data told a story that even Toprak's writing couldn't fully explain. Braking spikes didn't gradually increase, they jumped, hard and fast. Directional changes appeared sharper than any previous Yamaha MotoGP rider on a prototype. Slide control patterns didn't match conventional development riders at all. They resembled a rider trying to force the bike to reveal its limits, not carefully explore them. The engineers were split. Some believed this was a breakthrough. Others feared the bike was being pushed too far, too early. But one detail stood out above the rest. Toprak's braking pressure and corner entry speed were exposing weaknesses Yamaha didn't even know existed yet. He was forcing the prototype out of its comfort zone. And to development engineers, especially those who prefer slow, methodical progress, that created an unexpected tension. Dovizioso's later comment about Toprak having instincts similar to MotoGP's great late breakers wasn't just praise. It was a warning. The bike wasn't ready for that level of intensity. Yet the data revealed something else, something Yamaha couldn't ignore. Toprak had just saved them months of development. But pushing a prototype this far always comes with consequences. And the next test would expose weaknesses Yamaha wasn't prepared for. As Yamaha transitioned to deeper performance tests, the V4 began to show its flaws. The more Toprak demanded, the more the machine pushed back. And these weren't small issues, they were the kinds of problems that spark emergency meetings. Corner exit instability. Rear grip inconsistency. Electronics that couldn't keep up with his aggressive style. Aero turbulence in high-speed direction changes. These weaknesses weren't just performance problems, they were philosophical ones. They forced Yamaha to confront whether their early V4 design was in the right direction at all. Inside the team, tension grew. Some engineers argued for a cautious, progressive development arc. Others pushed for radical changes. And trapped between these viewpoints stood a rider who refused to slow down because slowing down isn't in Toprak's nature. Dovizioso publicly stated that Yamaha was still far from ready, but those close to the project sensed the deeper meaning. The V4 needed a breakthrough and fast. Then came the Valencia test. A test kept so private that only Yamaha's core staff were allowed inside. And what happened there would shift the entire narrative. While the rest of the grid packed up for winter, Yamaha remained in Valencia. No media allowed, minimal staff, a garage closed to anyone without clearance. That alone changed the atmosphere. This wasn't experimentation anymore. This was crisis mode or perhaps opportunity mode. Yamaha rolled out a V4 with a series of revisions. A new combustion system, reworked gearbox ratios, fresh electronics calibration, two distinct aero packages, one emphasizing braking downforce, the other high-speed stability. But the most important part of the test wasn't the bike. It was the plan. Instead of focusing on time attacks, Yamaha ordered long-run simulations. They needed to know how the engine behaved under stress, temperature, durability, electronics adaptation over a full race distance. Toprak went to work. Observers described his demeanor as unusually calm, almost expressionless. He wasn't chasing speed, he was studying the machine, understanding its heartbeat, feeling where it hesitated and where it wanted to go faster. And then near the end of the session, something happened. Something that only the telemetry would fully reveal. According to insiders, one lap in the long run stood out from all the others, not because it was dramatically faster, but because of how the engine behaved. Halfway through the simulation, the V4 began delivering power with a consistency Yamaha hadn't seen before. Stability improved, slide patterns smoothed, acceleration became cleaner. The telemetry spike wasn't chaotic, it was controlled. Some engineers rechecked the data twice, even 3 times, certain it had to be an error. It was. This one moment created a tsunami of speculation. Had Yamaha finally unlocked the prototype's early potential? Was this the first true glimpse of competitiveness? Or was it simply an outlier, a moment of harmony between rider and machine that couldn't be reproduced? Behind the scenes, debate erupted. Should Yamaha accelerate the development arc for 2026? Was the engine ahead of its internal schedule? Was Toprak pushing Yamaha toward a new identity faster than planned? But while Yamaha's engineers analyzed and debated, another storyline quietly began growing. A storyline centered not on the bike, but on the rider shaping it. For years, Yamaha's identity revolved around precision, smoothness, and corner speed. Riders were expected to adapt to the bike, not the other way around. Toprak changed that overnight. His feedback meetings weren't chaotic. He didn't show frustration. He didn't ask for miracles. He simply delivered clear, direct analysis, free of ego, free of theatrics. A strange contrast to the audacious riding style that dominated his on-track presence. But as the tests continued, something rare happened. Yamaha began shaping the bike around him. His demands influenced aero strategy. His braking style dictated gearbox adjustments. His corner entry aggression reshaped electronic priorities. His feedback became a reference point for engineering decisions. Some insiders believed Yamaha was gradually shifting its DNA, from smooth precision to controlled aggression. Others wondered whether building a bike around such a unique riding style could become a long-term gamble. All eyes turned to Yamaha's upper management. Was this the beginning of a Toprak-centered era? Or was Yamaha risking too much on one extraordinary, but unconventional rider. And then came the quote that ignited the paddock. If Yamaha follows the direction Toprak wants, the package next year could be extremely dangerous. But the real twist wasn't in what Dovizioso said. It was in what Yamaha planned next. As the Valencia results circulated quietly among industry insiders, a question began spreading through the paddock. Is Yamaha preparing to build its next-generation MotoGP identity around Toprak? Nothing was confirmed. Yamaha remained tight-lipped. But the signs were hard to ignore. A V4 engine after decades of resistance. Private tests with minimal personnel. A development path increasingly shaped around a single rider's style. A bold, aggressive engineering philosophy emerging after years of caution. For some, this signaled a rebirth. For others, a dangerous overcommitment. Fans online were equally divided. Some believed Toprak could revive Yamaha's legacy. Others questioned whether one rider's brilliance could override years of structural challenges. But what no one expected, what few even suspected, was that Yamaha's internal timeline may not match their public one. Because according to quiet paddock chatter, Yamaha's mid-season development plan might include a major update far earlier than anticipated, one that could either propel the V4 project forward or expose its most fragile weaknesses. What happens next could redefine Yamaha's entire future in MotoGP. The rise, the rebound, or the risk that becomes too heavy to carry. But for now, one truth stands above everything else. Every time Toprak Razgatlıoğlu throws that prototype into a braking zone, every time the telemetry surges, every time Yamaha's engineers whisper over a laptop screen, the belief grows that something extraordinary is being built. And this story has only just begun.